Peace. Yeah, I wanted to add on to that science of wisdom real quick. Take it to the wisdom degree in the 1 to 14s. It says, why did Musa have a hard time civilizing the devil near 2000 BC? It says, because he was a savage. A savage means a person who has lost the knowledge of himself and is living a beast life. Musa was a half original man, a prophet. 2000 BC means before Christ, and the Asiatic world is in the year 11,000. Civilized means to teach knowledge and wisdom to all the human families of the planet Earth. Now, before I said that, as far as wisdom is concerned, you can only really see the true wisdom in a person when they're off by themselves. You know what I'm saying? You can't live off another person's wisdom. And the thing about it is, because a lot of people are so orientated towards being socialized or gregarious, they love crowds and shit and being amongst people, and, they haven't really learned to manifest or function on their own, when they're put off in a situation like that, where they're dealing with that wisdom degree in the 1 to 36, coming to North America by themselves, it's almost like being like Musa, because it's a hard time. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the first part of the degree says, because he was a savage. And a lot of times, people who are so gregarious or they're so socialized and want to be amongst people, it's difficult for them to see what's going on within them. So when that degree says, why did Musa have a hard time civilizing the devil near 2000 BC, the first thing that comes to their mind is, he's a savage, or she's a savage, meaning this ain't got shit to do with me. It's like when you're taking care of things on your own, you know what I'm saying? If you're living on your own and things like that and the light bill don't get paid, who the fuck is you going to blame? You know what I'm saying? If you're living with a group of people, oh man, you got a whole bunch of excuses and shit. It's like everybody got 4 devils they dealing with. The more people that's up in your household and shit like that, you got multiplication of devils. Not saying that you shouldn't live with people and stuff like that and not manifest family, but what I'm saying is sometimes a person's ability to draw things up or to see things for what they really are can be skewed because it's other people around them. It's hard for them to just look at themselves. So like I said, in that wisdom degree, sometimes when people think about devil and all this other shit, the first thing they're doing is pointing outside of themselves, because he's a savage. A savage means a person who's lost the knowledge of himself and is living a beast life. So a beast is an animal that lives on a horizontal plane. They on all fours. It doesn't necessarily mean that they on some Charles Manson shit. It just means that they're living below the standard of expression of their higher self. And all of us could be found guilty of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that if, yesterday, matter of fact, I was cooking some God degree and I really didn't give it 100%. That shit is beast life to me because I'm not living up to my fullest capabilities and shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, sometimes we can have hard times because we're living below our standard or the capacity in which we express ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that is like Musa have a hard time civilizing the devil. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people that are not really self-centered. And I'm not talking about being selfish. I'm just talking about being centered within their own self. It's difficult for them to deal with situations where they can easily see how they cause all that above to happen. Because if they're around people all the time, they can sit there and blame somebody else's game and shit. You know what I'm saying? But if you dealing with yourself, it's like you can't lie to yourself. You got to look at things for who and what they are. So when it comes to dealing with hard times civilizing certain things, you know that all of this exists within yourself. It ain't about people that's outside of you and shit like that, because there's always a situation that you could have did better, or you could have handled better in order to avoid those rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes that you might have went through and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, in that degree it says because he was a savage. A savage means a person who is lost the knowledge of himself and is living a beast life. So losing the knowledge of yourself just simply means you could lose focus. Shit, now which one of y'all never lost focus in what you was doing? I don't care if you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You might drift off like this and shit like that and get jelly on your fingers. That shit is losing knowledge of yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then the rest of the part of the degree, it says Musa was a half original man, a prophet. So half original just basically means you can take it many different ways, but in this perspective, I'm looking at it as being bicultural. You know what I'm saying? Living in this wilderness of North America and shit like that, you learn different aspects of culture that is not primary to your particular way of life. You learn ways to navigate through society. You learn languages and things like that. You learn ways to perform different job functions. You learn ways to relate with other people and stuff like that that may not be primary to your traditional culture. And it may not be adverse to what your primary culture actually is, but you're bicultural in a way where you learn to speak many different languages amongst the people. You know what I'm saying? So Moose was a half original, meaning that he could do this and he could do that too. You know what I'm saying? But he was a prophet, meaning that those things that he did take on, or those different cultural angles that he did in order to develop himself in such a way where he was not having such a hard time civilizing those lower planes within self, that he basically saw that it was profitable. You know what I'm saying? A prophet also means one word, a word that comes before, you know, the actual true and living God. So that's what it means, 2000 BC. BC means before Christ. Christ is perfected man. So this is 2,000 years. 2,000 years represents an age. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have 12 different zodiac constellations, and you have a 2,000-year cycle or history between each particular constellation. That is considered an age. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you look at Christ, he was in the age of Pisces. Musa was 2,000 years before Christ, so that was the age of Aries. You know what I'm saying? Aries represents the ram, so going back to what I was building about in the first place, a lot of times it's hard for people to see what they're dealing with within themselves in regards to, you know, civilizing devil, because they fucking hard-headed. It's hard for them to see that. They ram-headed. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Musa represents. He symbolizes that particular age, which is before Christ. And the Asiatic world is near 11,000. Asiatic world just symbolizes a 25,000-year cycle or Quran, that all of these different ages are actually just an integral part of. So basically, in the larger scheme of things, you may be having a hard time on this level, but in the greater scheme of things, that's something to get you to a whole different part of the Quran, which is so that you can rewrite your history. You see what I'm saying? And then, when it goes down to further part of the degree, it says, civilized means to teach knowledge and wisdom to all the human families of the planet Earth. So it's like it all comes down to knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? That is an aspect of civilization, but it also symbolizes love, because you take the 12th letter in the supreme alphabet, it's L. So love always goes through hell in order for you to manifest what's essentially right. And that is the whole dynamic that is going on in that degree. A love for self, a love for doing better, a love for taking yourself from a horizontal plane of existence, or beast way of life, into the higher aspects of yourself, and internalizing that in such a way where you can also express that kind of love to all the human families of the planet Earth. And it's like, if a person is not going through this process of self-development individually, you know what I'm saying, then they won't cultivate or be able to express that love to all the other human families of the planet Earth and relate with them and speak their language, going back to the science of being half original. If a person looks at you and they like, well, I don't really think he can relate and shit like that, it's like they may not give you a chance, or it may be very difficult or hard for you to bring out the best in that person, because you haven't even gone through that yourself. So, you know, I just want to add on about that for a second, and just, you know, to reemphasize the fact that, you know, the science of being by yourself, taking it back to that wisdom degree in 1 to 36, and manifesting what true wisdom is, the essence of it, the underlying significance, the determined idea of wisdom. You empower yourself to deal with true civilization and have that love for this way of life that you're able to transmit to other people. So, peace.